Yo, what's going on?
We're here with Castlevania Rondo of Blood.
Remember when Konami made games?
Yeah, that was a good time.
Question of the part. Konami made games when? Oh, 2018, Konami Digital.
Yeah,
that was like after they stopped making games, so they're just messing with you.
Yeah, actually, I had no idea that this existed. I was actually looking up Bloodstained because I finished Bloodstained, and I wanted to play the retro game that they made called Bloodstained: Curse of the Moon, which is only a download title. But like when I looked it up, I was like, oh, Castlevania Symphony of Night and Rondo of Blood in one.
Did they run Curse of the Moon? No, wait, you said it's Curse of the Moon, right?
Yeah.
Bloodstained. Did they run Curse of the Moon at the newest GDQ?
I mean, it's definitely possible, but
I'm pretty sure they did.
I'm not sure. Alright, standard Judd. Next to my trademark Dark and Richter sucks. Alright, let's go.
True on all accounts.
Alright, so Rondo of Blood is a pretty interesting game because it's definitely a product of regional and cultural differences. Because Rondo of Blood to the Japanese is pretty much the most iconic and famous of the classic Castlevanias, but in America it is probably one of the more niche ones. We got Dracula X, which was like a SNES port, which was kind of butchered. It wasn't by the same developer, and they changed some stuff, I think almost all for the worse. But Rondo of Blood is a good game. I do think that this game's annoying, and I suck at it. But, it's an interesting game, and it has some really cool, like, animation and, like, story things that weren't in any of the other Castlevanias.
Well, it just goes to show you, I mean, Japanese love the PC Engine, which is the Japanese TurboGrafx, and Americans in general did not like the TurboGrafx. Like, if you're gonna say in 2019, oh, it was great, well then why didn't it sell?
Yeah.
Deal with it. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't sell.
It was just overshadowed. But, like, in Japan, like...
Oh my god.
The ZX Spectrum and the PC Engine were both, like, super popular. And they were good systems.
So in what ways... Because I played Dracula X before, and it's like... All I remember from it is it's just hard. So in what ways is, like, the SNES port, like, butchered?
They just changed a lot of stuff. They changed levels, they changed how Richter kind of operates. They just made the game a lot harder and more annoying. And they got rid of a lot of the story. And like extra production values.
Isn't there a lot of like cutscenes in this one?
Yeah, there's some cutscenes. There's even some voice acting too.
I just heard it, yeah.
Which actually they dubbed in English for this version. I think this is the only version that they ever dubbed and translated, because I was going to play this on the Wii because they released a turbo version of that on the Wii, but it's untranslated. So, and you can't skip the cutscenes. So it was like, well, I guess we'll just watch these minute-long Japanese cutscenes, and we can't understand what's happening.
So right off the bat, you gotta consider this... Turbo was a weird system. It's not quite 16-bit, but it's better than 8-bit. So, like, you guys gotta consider this a stepping stool towards the SNES, although the SNES was stronger.
Oh, great.
Although, that being said, it looks fantastic.
Yeah, this game looks great, and it has an amazing soundtrack.
And look at this, it looks like Castlevania 2, like they're in the Castlevania 2 towns.
Alright, so,
wow, that transition's nice.
So one of the things about this game is that it has a lot of stages, but there's a lot of alternating paths. To people that play Rondo, you know that there's a extra level over here, but we're not going to do it right now. Because this game, I am going to beeline to unlock Maria and play as Maria the rest of the game, because she is so much better than Richter in every conceivable way.
She's faster, right?
She technically has worse HP and does less damage, but everything else about her is so much better. But yeah, Maria's in stage 2, and I'm gonna beat the game as Richter. But the good thing about this game is that it has sort of like a save system, where if you game over, you can kind of choose your character and choose your stage and some other stuff, so it's a little bit more advanced that way.
Oh, this music. I think they use this in Bloodlines.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Which, by the way, over the years, I'm glad to see Bloodlines get more love.
Yeah, Bloodlines is a really good game.
But for years and years, it wasn't really mentioned, just because it's on the Genesis.
No.
Like, Genesis only, of course. Cool. Yeah, so, like I said, over the years, I'm glad to see that people starting to like it. I don't want to sound like too much of a video game hipster, but I did like All Good Things back when they were around, when they first were around. And the things that I hated, I've always hated, so take that for what it's worth. I always liked, by the way, Wind Waker. I liked how it looked, always.
Yeah, when I was probably too young to hate it, but Wind Waker looked amazing back then and looks amazing now.
Although, I'm a little unfair, I understand. I always kind of disliked Twilight Princess. And after seeing Trev play the full game through on a Let's Play, it's on our channel. I agree with that statement. I don't think I would ever play Twilight Princess. Also, I don't think I would play any newer Zelda except for maybe like Link Between Worlds or whatever. I know this is Castlevania, but they're just like Skyward Sword is just like so much going on, and Breath of the Wild is like big open world game, and I'm like no.
Breath of the Wild is a fun game. It's flawed, but it's also one of those games that takes 10 years to beat. Like, I think I put like 80 hours in that game. And honestly, it has a lot of flaws. I really like it in some ways. Like, some ways I think it is, like, amazing. And then other ways I'm just like, this isn't, like, even barely a Zelda game.
So, talking about Castlevania soundtracks, obviously this is, you know, a remake of Level 1, you know, Castlevania 1.
A lot of people say that Rondo's their favorite soundtrack. I would definitely put in my, probably like top 5, maybe top 3. This soundtrack is really good, but...
Bloodlines is very underrated, although unfortunately it is on the Genesis, so you have to just deal with it.
Bloodlines is good. Castlevania 3 is probably my favorite.
Ooh, the fact that they let you pick it up again is really nice, because I know in the old school ones, if you actually switched weapons, it was just gone.
It's not like it really matters.
But the NES, the NES in Japan, the Famicom Disk System, had like better like sound, and Castlevania 3's Japanese version for the Famicom, I think it's the Disk System only, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it has like an extra...
The Castlevania 3 for NES is fantastic, like the soundtrack, but it's better on the Famicom. Just like Zelda 1 and 2. I think it's Zelda 1 and 2. Are better on the Famicom's Disk System. I forget if it's 1 and 2 or just 1.
So Castlevania 3, I have a really weird opinion. I think I expressed it before. Maybe not on LPs, but a lot of people say that the Famicom Disk System version of Castlevania 3 soundtrack is the best. But I actually prefer the NES one. It might be nostalgia, but I like the sound sampling on the NES one more. The Famicom Disk System one is just a little bit too, like, I don't know. It's
clear?
Like digitized or something. I don't know.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I like, there's certain certain time period soundtracks that I like better than others, and like, one of the cool things about like NES or SNES ones is there is a little bit of like, you know, rawness. Like NES, they only had so much to work with. That's why I love the Saga Frontier soundtrack, which, by the way, we're going to be playing later.
Yeah, really good soundtrack.
Because they really, like, they use MIDI a lot, which was just something they did at the time, and it's just so good. Hello, waifu.
Who are you, mister?
So this is Maria.
A good guy?
I am Richter Belmont, vampire hunter. And you are?
It's hard to hear it now because we're in this huge room with this bad TV, but the dub almost sounds like they purposely made it like 90s tier with a little bit of like artifacting and like not the best sound quality. I don't know if it was purposeful or not, but it really reminds me of 90s dubs, and it's very nostalgic and it's a good touch if they meant to do that.
It reminds me of like every Sega CD game. You know, when they had like voice acting, you're like, okay.
That means we should be friends now.
Sure, friends.
I'm Richter Belmont.
You're too young for this. You just let the big
Richter Belmont's such a weird, because like I was saying, for the Japanese, this is like the most iconic and famous game. But Richter Belmont, as a Belmont, is one of the most inconsequential ones, and actually jobs, like, hard. Like, he jobs in Symphony of the Night, like, hard. Like, he's probably the worst Belmont, but he's also the most famous.
What other games is he in?
He's in this game in Symphony of the Night.
That's it, then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
I would say...
I mean, Simon is definitely the most
it's
iconic.
Simon or Richter. It's one of the two.
For basically everywhere besides Japan, it's Simon. But for the Japanese, I think it's Richter. Not sure if there's any. A lot of these, they have these pre-boss rooms, which is pretty handy for this game. And a lot of times they like hide like a pot roast or something in them, which is pretty nice. But this one doesn't look like it. So this is a pretty hard boss. I really want to beat him the first try because I have 20 hearts with the holy water, so I can do 2 hydro storms. But we'll see what happens. Definitely jobbing.
Was this boss used in Symphony?
This game is the assets that they used for this game were used in every Castlevania after this point.
Okay, because this boss looks super familiar.
They reused like the werewolf and the minotaur and like a whole lot of other stuff just over and over. Like even up until Order of Ecclesia, like the last like true Castlevania game. What was that, 15 years later? Like that's how popular this game was. Away from me.
You're just gonna get him low and then use those 2 specials?
I only have 1 this time.
Oh.
But yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Because eventually he'll go into a ball and start being annoying, but he's almost dead already, so might as well.
Nice.
1 hit left. Cool.
Jeez.
Yeah, some of the death animations are actually hardcore.
I was but a man!
Nice, got it. Look at that sprite.
So I was watching the Castlevania block on SGDQ 2019, and they played Portrait of Ruin. And most of the people on the couch said that Portrait was the best DS Castlevania, but the runner actually said that Order of Ecclesia is the best DS Castlevania.
I think, in my opinion, Dawn of Sorrow is the best one. Portrait of Ruin is the most solid, and probably the most content of any Castlevania game, but it's also, I don't know, it doesn't do anything that amazing either. It's just a really solid game with no flaws. Order of Ecclesia is such a beautiful game that I love. Okay, so time to explain what Maria does and why she's so good. So, naturally you can already see that she has like a faster running speed than Richter. She has a double jump, which is huge.
And you can like change where you jump.
And Richter can also do that. Like Maria, you can't like control it that much. Like once you choose a direction, you can like change it once. But she also has 2 of these birds that, like Richter, obviously, when you use the whip, you can't move. But she can she has full range. She can just use it whenever. But yeah, like I was saying, Maria also has a good amount less health. I'm not gonna say it's half health, but it's probably like 2/3
Would
health.
speedrunners still use her because she's faster? And they would just have to get good?
Yeah, I don't know.
Might be separate categories.
There's definitely Richter-only mode.
This reminds me of Castlevania 3 when you get, like, Trevor or whatever, or what's that girl's name? Sylvia or whatever?
Yes,
Sulfur or whatever, and you just use them the rest of the time. You're like, nope, see ya.
Like, Castlevania 3 is, like, probably the hardest Castlevania, but even that, if you get Alucard and you know what you're doing, Alucard can, like, cheese a lot of things in that game. Like, basically every platforming challenge if you have hearts.
Because what, you can just become a,
Yeah, you can become a bat and just go over everything. So, it's definitely one of those games that if you just continue to be Trevor... Ooh, Trevor Belmont.
I feel one knows Spencer Belmont.
It is so hard.
I'm shaking my head.
Dude, even in Resident Evil 1, which has Trevor and Spencer, it's Spencer.
Well, that would be too ridiculous if it was spelled differently. The character besides Alucard... No, actually... I'm trying to think of which character is playable in the most Castlevania games, and it might be that guy from, isn't his name like Jules or something like that? Julius? The one from the Sorrow games, like Dawn and Aria of Sorrow? Don't you play as him in 3?
Julius, I think, is in like 2 or 3 games, but I think they added Richter mode, and Alucard you can play in Dawn of Sorrow, I believe. It's hard to say. It's probably really close.
My favorite is the fact that Castlevania 3, since it's like a prequel by like hundreds of years, I think that's the only one Trevor's in. Or, I gotta be honest, I don't care. It's Alex Swingle, it's super nerdy, and deal with it. I was just having a conversation with Alex on YouTube today about Diet Soda. We talked about that during your other Castlevania run. And not that he's not a fan of Diet Soda, it's just that he knows aspartame's the true killer. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I know it's super nerdy, but I love timelines in games, like, deal with it.
It depends on the game. Like, Zelda timeline shouldn't exist.
Agreed.
Castlevania timeline is pretty cool.
Well, Castlevania's
though it's
timeline is
stupid.
like 1,200 years.
Yeah.
Just so cool.
And like at the end. Also, talking about the Castlevania timeline, it is incredibly weird that the most important Belmont is Julius, who like literally permanently kills Dracula, but there's no game for him.
What?
Other than, like he's in Dawn of Sorrow as like a supporting character, and you can play as him, but he's not the main character.
I thought Julius was the white-haired main character.
No, that's Soma.
Oh. So they, in Dawn of Sorrow, they literally just end it. They're like, this is the end, in the timeline.
Well, do you remember Dawn of Sorrow and Aria of Sorrow?
Holy hell.
Dracula's castle is in the eclipse of the moon in Japan, and at that point, Dracula is already, like, permanently dead. It's just, like, a really, like, asshole type of plot.
What the hell? Why are these sprites so big? Why are these sprites cats?
Because you use cats. You'll see it in a second. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. But yeah, the most important Belmont, other than whatever the first one was called, I forget his name. Leon Belmont?
The one in Lament of Innocence?
Yeah.
Dude, I love just how, like, if you were like, alright, tell me right now. Oh my god, literal cats.
Yeah, and they're really good.
They only take 1 or 3.
They take 3, yeah. But they're really good. Against anything that's on the ground.
Okay, I was just waiting until boss battles. Anyway, so I just love... Oh, it's not over?
No, so another thing that bosses do is that they have, like, a desperation move type of thing. But regardless of what your health is, even if you're at, like, 1 HP, they can't kill you with it.
It's interesting.
Oh, I got the good spray.
Anyway, I love how if you talk to someone, you're like, alright, you know Castlevania, and they'd be like, yeah, I'd be like, alright. If they didn't know already, it's like, what's the first one in the series? They'd be like, maybe Castlevania 1, or if they kind of knew that Castlevania 3 was a prequel, they'd be like, okay, Castlevania 3. But it's like, no, it's Lament of Innocence on the PS2.
Yeah, and it's by, like, 500
yeah,
years.
it's like, I think that one takes place in, like, 1080 or something
yeah, it's
like
like
that.
it's either the 11th or 12th century.
It's like, that's so cool.
But yeah, I think I got sidetracked. So Aria of Sorrow and Dawn of Sorrow, the main character is Soma. He's not a Belmont. He is just the...
Isn't he a high school kid?
I don't know if he's high schooler, but he's definitely... sorry, trying to pay attention. He's like the reincarnation of Dracula by some sort of weird plot contrivance. but he is the main character, and basically the cult that wants Dracula back wants to convert Soma into Dracula, and they get really close both games, but ultimately fail. But yeah, those games are really weird.
So they should have just killed Soma, right? So Dracula couldn't have possibly came back.
Yeah, I think that's what like one of the characters wants to do.
Seems fair. It's like, did you play Last of Us? I forget.
Yeah.
It's like Last of Us. Spoilers. Although it's a 6-year-old game by this point. It's like, hey, Joel, there's a really good chance that we can stop all this if you sacrifice this girl. No. What's her name? Ellie? Ellie.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, dude, like, I'm sorry. Like, if it's like, you can sacrifice this girl and there's like a 1% chance and maybe it's like, okay, I get it, but it's like, she has this special immunity. We can figure out what it is and save everything. It's like, no! And in fact, I'm gonna kill y'all! It's like, okay, thank you.
I don't know. I don't like Last of Us that much. I mean, I think it's like one of the most overrated things ever.
I think the story's great. The gameplay's so bad.
I think the story is okay, but I do like the characters. And I think that, wait, what's his name? Joel? I think Joel is a pretty cool character that has some believable, like, type of, like, personal conflicts. And, like, if I was in a situation that I really cared about Ellie, I don't know what I would do either. Because I can't say that I'm, like, a person that, like, is good in the way that I'd be like, oh, sacrifice my life for all of humanity? Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I probably wouldn't.
I mean, that's fair. I'm not saying I was... I just want to make it clear here. I'm not saying I would sacrifice myself. Like, I'd have to think about that. But I'm saying I would definitely sacrifice Ellie.
Would you sacrifice Ferris, though?
Dude, like, literally to... Like, if there was a really good chance to save humanity, I think you have to. Although I'd probably sacrifice myself as well, because I'd be like, well, no reason for me to live anymore. Sorry, bro. Although Ash would be like, take me instead. I'd be like, you don't have the special whatever ability. Guess what? Last of Us 2 is never going to be made.
It's going to be made, but it's
vaporware.
It's probably like winter 2020.
Does Sony have any big titles coming out this fall? I'm trying to think.
I mean, it's not really
Death
a Sony
Stranding.
one.
But it's a PS4 exclusive. I mean, already that's more than friggin' oh no, that's the same amount that Microsoft has. Because, Gears. Remember Gears 5?
I do remember Gears 5. Die, thank you.
Is that the Desperate Attack?
Yeah, hope try to attack you.
Cool.
But yeah, I don't know why they did that for the bosses.
I had to put
guess
in
it's just kind of like scary.
I had to put the pre-orders in for Gears of War 5, and I was like...
I don't think it's going to sell like almost at all.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not going to say the actual number, but when like a big game comes... Well, let me put it this way.
I mean, it's going to sell. It's an Xbox exclusive. There's fans of Gears of War, but people really did not like Gears of War.
Let me put it this way. For like Pokemon, we're literally getting like several hundred copies, and I'll probably end up ordering more, right? Pokemon Sword and Shield. Or like Spider-Man, I got like dozens of copies, but for Gears I was like, what number do I put here?
Yeah, I'll try again.
Is, the other game that's coming out this fall that I'm having a super hard time figuring out, like, how excited people are is the Outer Worlds. Like, I've had people specifically ask for it by name. Like, they're like, hey, tell me about the Outer Worlds, or like...
It's a new Obsidian game, and you know Obsidian makes, like...
New Vegas, right?
They made New Vegas, but obviously that's Fallout, and they don't have access to that IP anymore. And a lot of people don't really like New Vegas, even though I think it's great. But they made...
Chris Klump? Actually, Chris Klump likes New Vegas best. I'm pretty sure I remember that as the answer.
I would have guessed that Chris Klump was a Fallout 3 guy.
I'm gonna have to ask him then. We had, by the way, on Completing Cast, we had a whole episode about this.
So lucky!
But yeah, there's some of those games where I'm like, oh, it's a $60 game, huh? I found out today that Medieval, the remake, is $30, so you better You bet your sweet butt I ordered a bunch of those.
So this portrait thing, as far as I'm aware, is an instant kill if it touches you, but
Cool.
you have to be pretty stupid to actually get hit. Even as Rector. This is going. I mean, I'm probably
Don't
myself.
say it!
Okay. This is going okay.
But I love the Castlevania timeline. Like sometimes I just like sit on the. There's like a website that chronicled it all, and I'm like, oh yeah. So one Castlevania game. I mean, I haven't. By no means have I played them all. I've played all the American releases of the like retros, but I know that's only like a percentage of it. I never played the. I played Circle of the Moon. No Game Boy Advance. No DS. What was I getting at? Just trying to tell you. Trying to, you know. What the hell was I gonna say?
I have no idea.
Oh yeah, but the one game, and I even played Lament of Innocence. I didn't beat it, but I played it.
I don't think I actually beat Lament of Innocence either, because the final boss I remember being impossible.
Anyway, one game that's like never mentioned, and I'm always like, I wonder if this is good, is Curse of Darkness for the PS2.
It's way more of an RPG than Lament of Innocence is. So
It's pretty cool.
Whether if you like the Game Boy Advance and DS Castlevania, it's more like that.
Huh. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Lament of Innocence is literally just like a platformer.
Yeah, it's like I mean, it feels like Gears of War sort of to me, or not Gears of War.
God of War? Yeah. But everything did at that time. Was Lords of Shadows 2 like good at all?
No, it was terrible. I played it for about I would say 2 hours, and I gave up.
Lords of Shadow 1 was alright. Like, it was...
It has oh man, it has these mandatory stealth sections where you can't get seen by humans, because...
In what, Shadows 1 or 2?
Shadows 2. Because the story is that you're Dracula at that point, I guess, but you're weakened after centuries of isolation and not wanting to drink blood, I guess.
What? No way.
Are you kidding me?
One hit?
He was
dead.
She just wouldn't stop rolling. He was one hit away. He wasn't dead.
Oh, okay.
That sucks. I was deathless. I mean, other than the Richter death.
So... When does Lords of Shadow 2 take place on the timeline?
It takes place on modern times.
Yeah?
Seriously.
But you play as Dracula? That's so weird.
I forget his name. The Belmont that's in Lord of Shadow, because he sucks. Julian or something.
Julian Belmont.
It's something Spanish.
Wait, so that's right. A Belmont is Dracula? I kind of forget.
It's Lord of Shadow is stupid.
But
they
is the guy you play as in? No, the guy you play as in Lament of Innocence. He doesn't become Dracula, but the one guy does.
Yeah, the one of your friends or enemies or whatever becomes Dracula, and you have to sacrifice your girlfriend and wife to make the vampire killer, which is the inner.
It's a pretty
dilemma.
cool story part. All right, that's it. We're pulling up the Castlevania timeline.
This sucks.
It's got a pretty cool sprite though.
Yeah, I just really wish I killed him on the first try. I've never seen that before. Where she
just kept rolling.
She rolled for literally 3 seconds.
No, there's a... Our Castlevania has quite the long thing about it.
Alright. Hitless, but I mean, if I get screwed again, then... Alright. I think I have one more dragon. I really only have to hit him a couple times. No. Okay.
I like how the dragon's sprite is so big you can't tell how many hearts you have. I think I have enough hearts. Like, what's the deal with that?
I can see the 0, but that's it.
Okay, so here we go. You guys ready? Alex?
Oh, butt sprite.
We good? Alright, we're all good. Ready? 1094, Castlevania Lament of Innocence, as we mentioned. The next one you would never even guess. Castlevania Legends.
Yeah.
Right? How would you guess that? 1450. So literally, like 300 years.
Such a fine girl.
What's it up?
Surely the blood of a beautiful woman will quench the thirst in my body.
Stay away from me!
What are you
This
afraid
MS
of?
Paint tier. Granted, it was amazing back then.
I think it has a lot of soul.
Eternal life and beauty.
I love like pixel art portraits like
It's a
this.
simple matter. I get what I need, and you benefit as well. And then together, you and I shall reign over this world.
Also, the general art style, is, especially for Maria, is so 90s anime. And 90s anime is pure soul.
As you wish. However, what exactly makes me a savage?
By the way, Lament of
My
Innocence is
existence
Leon
itself
Belmont.
makes me
Yeah,
savage.
It's like a
guess
mixture
that
of Resident
Am
Evil
not
and
the result
Castlevania.
of this world? Are not all the people of this age savages as well? If so, I should be a shining beacon for what this world wants me to be. The one to
Loading.
lead them. Do you not agree?
My Lord Count,
Those eyes.
What is it?
there are intruders in the castle.
I see. Destiny can be quite fun at times.
I'm
It
here
likely
on the
comes to
scene.
interfere. I hope you'll be in a better mood later.
Nothing personal. Is that your GF?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, maybe, might be a sibling to Richter. I'm pretty sure it's it.
Anyway, so